Brett, you've been saying for a while that Ben Simmons is going to be your point guard. How does Markelle change your plans, if at all?
It really doesn't. You know, I think the thing you realize when you study Markelle's game is that he too has the ability to be a significant ball carrier. And, you know, the more that we see Ben play, we've had a fantastic month of June. We're excited to use him as the primary ball carrier. And I think that with Markelle, when you study what he did in college, you recognize very quickly that he has the ability to play that position and be one of the main ball distributors as well. And when I look at the combination of both Ben and Markelle, it's a real exciting challenge to have where you try to grow those two players and let them coexist and learn more about each other. And I think that the start of the season in training camp in the month of September is really going to be important for us to allow those guys to feel each other and the coaching staff to be able to, you know, truly see it on the court.
Bryan said he is an ideal fit for this team. So, in your opinion, why is he an ideal fit?
Yeah, and we all, as the draft got closer, we were all on the same type of path where, you know, you get the third pick and you think you know who you're going to draft, and then you hear, you know, the Lakers are going to take, you know, one of the people that we're looking at, and then you're studying different situations, and you travel all over the country and bring some people in here to study, and then late, the Celtics trade happened. And so the evolution for me, as you were studying the players, the study of Markelle Fultz really wasn't at a serious phase until very late. And when it got discussed and you realize there's a significant chance we may end up with the first player, let's sort of pivot out of it and study Markelle's game a lot more. The thing that I realized is that there was no other player that I saw that was a better fit for those two than Markelle. I think for a variety of reasons, when you look at his ability to shoot, when you look at his ability to create on a catch-go or off a live ball, certainly in early offense, that he can coexist with Ben and Joel the easiest out of all of the people. When you thought there was a chance we could get Lonzo Ball, you studied him, and you realized, wow, that is a point guard. I think that we would have found a way to make that work, but I feel that with Markelle and his sort of variety of ball skills and positional skills, that you feel it a lot clearer that the fit can be, I think, a little bit more seamless. I think he's a perfect complement to Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons.
Brett, what's left now? Like, as far as your roster moving forward, like what do you need on this roster? What do you want from on this roster come September? What still needs to be gotten that'll make you feel really good about this team for this year and maybe moving forward?
Right. The first two things that come to my mind in this order is those young guys need nurturing. They need veteran leadership. And to think that you're going to go into a season with a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, and Joel Embiid, as much as we love him and see how special he is, the reality is those three players have played a cumulative 31 NBA games. And there is going to be a level of patience from the coaching staff, from the city, from teammates that clearly we're all going to have to go through. And holding a locker room, growing those guys, helping them navigate NBA life and NBA games is a very powerful message when it comes from a player. And trying to identify veterans that have the ability to nurture and help those three especially is one of the main priorities. We will never go away from the need for shooters. When you look at Ben and you look at Joel and you look at Markelle, when you say what's the common denominator that on the court can help them succeed best, it's space. It's clear, it's space. And with that comment, if you can have a hybrid of both worlds, you look at veteran shooters, people that can come in and provide that type of leadership. And Bryan and I have had hours of discussion leading up to this on what the next step is in regards to the formation of the team and free agents. I know he has shared with you the owner's plan and hence our path, that there is still a large part of this growth that will happen organically and not force-fed. And so somewhere out there, without being reckless, and the formation of some of those qualities that we're looking for to make up the rest of the team, that will be the next step.
Brett, you've talked in the past about the need for your point guard to display a certain level of toughness to thrive at this level. A, did you see that at all, or any indication of that in what you saw from Markelle in college? And if so, or if not, do you think it'll take to give him that edge?
Right. I think when you listen to the marketplace, and all the pundits say these are his strengths, these are his weaknesses. One of the weaknesses was did he bring it every night defensively? Did he have that killer instinct? The thing that impressed me as much as anything when we had him here and you're speaking to his mom and you're speaking to a coach that had been with him almost all of his life, and when you dig into other coaches that coached against him, and most importantly, when you sit down and talk to Markelle. For me, I learned the most when I can sit down in a room all by myself with the player and just talk. And the conversation goes where the conversation goes. You take that experience, you weigh it up with all the intel that we now have available to us, and it points back to a high character person. I think if you take a high character person and you take an athlete, you have the foundation to coach him to be a elite defender. I think that down deep, he understands the knock against him. And I believe that when we get him with our program, he understands how we see the world here, that it's going to be an evolution, no doubt, but it's a willing defensive player, and it's a willing athlete, a gifted athlete, under a roof of I think, quality person. And I think those types of qualities let you have a far better chance to mold him into the type of defensive player we need here.
What have you thought about the way that the current players have been welcoming Markelle for days before he was even drafted?
I love it. And how many times would you sort of see in an NBA city, an NBA program where, a draft pick comes in at 7 at night, he's a little bit late, and on the sideline, not only by their own choice, you look over, you see, Robert Covington and Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. If everybody here could have seen the month of June that we're at the end of it, seeing our players, some of when you came in and saw the workouts, this gym was alive. It's the first time we've been able to tap into this building over the summer. And I feel that when you look at our guys and you look at the response that they have given to Markelle, it's incredibly impressive, and I think reflective of sort of some youthful enthusiasm and truly how excited they are to include him into our team.
Over the years, you've said when you envision this franchise, where it's going to be, when they get this facility built, when you get the players in place, when you have all these things in the fold, now you have one more piece to that puzzle. And I'm wondering now, what's going through your mind about what's going to be with this franchise, what's going to be with this team, and how you're going to take it to the next level?
I think you go back to when we all met in my first year, and you look at where we were and where we are. If we all, take a deep breath and look at how we got to 5 to 3 to 1. I mean, the story and the pieces behind that evolution tell a little bit of the story that from the question that you just asked me. And I think that we're now at a place where you can actually touch people and positionally feel that we're balanced and the people that we're touching and how we hope to build the program. I think it gives you far greater clarity of what those pieces need around them to let them sort of have a best chance of playing excellent basketball. When I sit in a room with Bryan.Colangelo and we look at a depth chart and you're looking at a board, and so much of our conversation goes around, as we build this team, who do we least want to affect? Because if you bring in the wrong position or the wrong type of player, you can affect people like Timmy Luwawu, who is still a part of this growth mix. And so where we were and where we are and the pieces, the real people that you can actually touch, and especially the three people that we're talking mostly about now, and Embiid and Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz, the city has to feel fantastic. I know the organization does.
Did you have any sense that this trade with Boston was coming? If you did, when did it start to get on your radar, and what was your initial reaction to it?
I mean, there is so much surface talk that has been had always. This is my 17th NBA draft. And you learn through all of those things that you have to sort of determine what's noise, what's calculated messaging trying to disrupt the marketplace, and what's real. And because this, in my mind, and I suppose most people's mind, was what we would maybe put into like blockbuster verbiage, that you were cautious. You really weren't sure what bucket that could have fallen into, reality or just verbiage or noise. As it started to play out, you realized it did have some legs. And so always, you're playing the game of why would the Celtics do this? What would be in it for us? You start dreaming a little bit about where people would fit in. And I think really only in the last, probably 48 hours. I mean, we were on a plane working out Josh Jackson. We learned at the last moment that he would see us. And so 5 or 6 of us got on a plane and, flew to Sacramento to study him more. We were very interested in him. And that was late. And so this news with the Celtics did come late. There were conversations that led up to it. And when it finally became a reality, I applaud Bryan and the execution of it to get it over the line.
Brett, I know after the draft lottery, Josh was talking and he thanked Sam Hinkie publicly. Just what has your conversation been like since the draft lottery? Have you had any conversations with Sam?
Just a random text, basically saying thank you. And I think organizationally, we really haven't missed a beat. The volume of phone calls that I have been on in my 4 years, they're like every Monday almost, you're on a conference call with the owners and the people involved, and we've tried to be so meticulously responsible of growing this patiently. And Sam was excellent at what he did, and I think that Bryan took that work and brought it forward. And you can't help but go back and recognize how we arrived at the picks that we had this year. And then, like I say, I think that you have to step back and really acknowledge the great work that Bryan did getting it over the line. I think the draft picks that Bryan has made with Luwawu and Korkmaz, with Furkan Korkmaz was in here for 8 days. We're really excited about him, but you can't dismiss the position that the club and Sam helped us put us in to get to this level.
Brett, how close do you feel that you're getting there? We're here now, you have a formidable team and still have assets to play with. How close are you to being it's just basketball now, as opposed to years past where you were waiting for this and you were waiting for players?
I feel a little bit closer. I'm still of the mindset, and you probably know I would say this, the adamance and the importance that I place on building a culture still like is ever present. And I think that we're a lot closer, Bob, because you can touch people and you can look at people. So for that reason, I arrived tonight thinking we're a lot further along than we have ever been, clearly. The reality of the youth is always from a head coaching perspective, and it's your backcourt youth is real. You're gonna have to be patient and learn how to get through some stuff there. But the excitement that the city should feel and the acknowledgement that I completely make in regards to our team has pieces now that are young and pliable, and we got variety and versatility. We are way further along. It doesn't diminish when you say it's just basketball. For me, it's still the underbelly that sets programs apart. There's a cultural aspect of how you lift weights, of how you go watch videotape, of how you interact with teammates, all those types of things that are ever present. And so trying to morph these 20-year-olds and still never letting that belief go makes it a little bit more than just basketball. But we got a lot more to work with than we used to have.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.